Thank you very much. Let's see, we had a bunch of solos. I think Rowan Bartsham on piano was the first. We also heard from our two tenor saxophonists, Shota Renwick, Nick Ryder. On trombone, Cooper Melanowski. And on trumpet, Isaac Dubow. And on, I think, bass, I think I'm not forgetting on anyone, Ben Friedland. So you probably recognize some of the allusions in that piece. Jaki quotes 1 O'Clock Jump. I guess it's a tribute to that piece, that music. The next piece is an arrangement of his, a more explicit arrangement. This is of Oscar Pettiford's Tricotism. Thank you. Again, Ben Friedland on the bass. Ben Friedland. We also heard from Mike Cameron on alto saxophone. And Miles Kenigstein on trumpet. I should say, I should have mentioned this earlier, the program isn't quite right. So we will do Aluminum Baby if you're waiting to hear that, one of Jaki's classic, but we're doing it later in the program. We'll announce it. So other than that, I think the program is as it's advertised. The next piece we're going to do is an arrangement. Again, this is of Billie Holiday's classic, God Bless the Child. And joining us on this one will be Ihong Gua on voice. So please welcome her to the stage.
Them that's God shall give, them that's not shall lose. So the Bible said, and it still is new. Mama may have, Papa may have, but God bless the child that's got his own, that's got his own. Yes, the strong gets more while the weak one fades. Empty pockets don't ever make the grade. Mama may have, Papa may have, but God bless the child that's got his own, that's got his own. Mommy, you've got lots of men crowding round the door. When you're gone and spending them, they don't come no more. Rich relations give crust of bread and such. You can help yourself, but don't take too much. Mama may have, Papa may have, but God bless the child that's got his own, that's got his own. Rich relations give crust of bread and such. You can help yourself, but don't take too much. Mama may have, Papa may have, but God bless the child that's got his own, that's got his own. God bless the child. That's got his own.
Thank you. Yihan Guo. Also, we heard from Talia Rubenstein on guitar. Emmy. Yeah. So we're going to invite another guest to the stage. As I'm sure it says in your program, Jaki taught at NEC for a long time. And so there are many students out there who are preaching his lessons and have been for many years. But one person who I don't think has been back, at least since I've been here, is Jed Levy, who played in Jaki's big bands. I think he plays on every single big band recording. Is that true, right, Jed? Seems like it. So let's welcome to the stage Jed Levy, an NEC alum. Thank you. And he's going to join us on one of my favorite of his compositions. This is entitled Spanish Tinge. Actually, Spanish Tinge number 1. There is a Spanish Tinge number 2, but this is number 1. Thank you. Jed Levy on tenor saxophone. Let's see, we also heard from Joey Dyes on the trombone. And Nick Biagini on baritone saxophone. So, this is actually the third concert I've done of Jaki's music. I love it. I feel like it's an amazing vehicle for us to all just learn, I don't know, how to swing, how to tune these beautiful chords. It's just really beautiful music that he writes. And this is a piece I've never done, Olean Visit. So one of my goals is every time I try to learn a new one, and if they're missing parts, try to figure out what that missing part would have been, knowing what I know of Jaki's writing. So this is exciting, Olean Visit. I hope you like it. It's another one that will feature Jed Levy on tenor saxophone. Thank you. Jed Levy on tenor saxophone again. So, as I mentioned, or as I promised, we're going to play Aluminum Baby now. And conducting this one will be, I'm sure it says it in the program, but the first chair of the Afro-American Music and Jazz Studies program at NEC, Carl Atkins. It's really a wonderful thing. Every time he comes back, I learn so much about the history of the school and also about the music. So I'd like you to welcome me to the stage, Carl Atkins.
Good evening. Good evening. Yeah. So glad you came out. It's a very special night for me. Jaki meant a lot to a lot of people, and I certainly count myself among the people who were fortunate enough to know Jaki, make music with him, and learn from him. And when Ken asked me if I would participate in tonight's program, I jumped at the opportunity, although my wife and I live in Florida in the winter, and I had to think a second time about what was going on up here, but I wouldn't have missed this. I mean, this is very special to me, and this is a great group of young musicians here at the Conservatory, and Ken's doing a great job bringing them through all of the myriad approaches to this music and having them understand how it has affected so many people through the years. And Jaki Byard was the embodiment of the kind of influence that an individual could have on a myriad of people. And as I said, I count myself as one of the fortunate to have spent some time with him. We're going to do a tune that has become synonymous to some extent with Jaki's style, although what you've just heard were, again, things that are monumental and that will certainly outlive all of us as representatives of music of a particular period, and certainly music of Jaki's. The piece we're going to do, Aluminum Baby, is probably one of Jaki's simplest pieces, but in its simplicity is extremely profound. Harmonies, rhythms, the phrasing, all a characteristic of what made Jaki the genius that he was. And I'm really happy to have been asked to perform this with these fine young musicians. And there are a lot of stories that go around about where this piece came from. Some say it was Jaki's reaction to Duke Ellington's Sad Doll. Others say that Jaki and his wife were watching late night TV, and Elizabeth Taylor came on the screen dressed in what looked like an aluminum dress, and that Jaki then pinned Aluminum Baby as a tribute, I suppose, of Elizabeth Taylor. We don't know if any of that stuff is true or not, but it makes for a nice kind of story, you know. So this is, again, a favorite piece of mine, and I hope you will enjoy tonight's performance, Aluminum Baby. Again, thank you very much. It's a beautiful piece, and you should endeavor to get copies of Jaki playing this piece in so many circumstances, both with big bands and small groups and the like. But as I said to you before, in its simplicity, it is an incredibly profound piece of music and should be played much, much more by many kinds of groups, school groups, as well as college level bands. These kids do a really wonderful job. They are sensitive and they pay attention to what's going on, and I think they genuinely love the music. When Ken asked me to participate, originally he'd asked me if I would conduct a couple of pieces, and Aluminum Baby was one. But then I said, you know, I really would like to do something to pay tribute to Jaki. So would you mind if I wrote a couple of pieces as sort of my sense of who Jaki Byard was musically and otherwise? And he said, fine, absolutely, do what you'd like. So initially I was going to do kind of a 3-movement suite, and I chickened out on one of the movements, so there's only 2, and they're still calling it a suite, so I guess at some point I have to write that 3rd movement so that we can fulfill the labeling of it as a suite. One of the tunes I wrote, and that we're going to play, is a blues, and blues is wonderful for this music and for all kinds of other music, and Jaki was a wonderful blues performer. And I wondered what I wanted to call this blues. I mean, it'd be easy to say blues for Jaki Byard or something, JB's Blues. I mean, those are all kinds of things that certainly would have been appropriate. But then I remembered that when I first met Jaki here at the conservatory, actually I met him in New York, but when we first got to know each other here in Boston at the conservatory, like a lot of people who are not from this area, I wasn't privy to the various unique pronunciations of towns and places, and the Harvard Yards and the blah, 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 blah. And I, by that time I had visited Dorchester, England. I had visited Rochester, New York, and knew that there was a Dorchester, Massachusetts. A good friend of mine named Andy McGee lived in Dorchester, Massachusetts. So when I first saw Worcester, it had to be Wor-chester, didn't it? I mean, so I wasn't privy to calling it Worcester, and Jaki got a big kick out of it because every time I'd see him after that, I'd say, "What's happening in Wor-chester, man?" And we'd laugh. So I thought, so this tune's got to have some connection to that. So this is my tribute, one of my tributes to Jaki Byard, using some of his musical issues. I didn't try to imitate anything, but I thought that this melody and the way the harmonies worked were really reminiscent of Jaki's playing and his thought process in music. So this is Blues for Wor-chester. Features our friend, hello? Features Jed Levy on the tenor. He's going to tell us what the blues is about up front, and then we'll do some playing to give him more space to play on the blues. Yeah, Jed Levy. And if you saw smiles coming out of the band while he was playing his introductory statements, it's because he refused to play very much in rehearsal, so we didn't know what he was going to play, and he picked a lot of nice themes to throw into his declamatory statements in the beginning. Jaki's influences. The next piece in this suite is again a tribute to Jaki's wide-ranging approach to the piano and to music in general. I always define him as the last of the great two-fisted piano players. He didn't like, I won't say he didn't like, but he often was disparaging of people who played what he called one-handed piano. In other words, a few chords in the left hand and lots of stuff in the right hand, and or people who played only modal music. I mean, he believed that there was much more going on in music than that. And so, again, I always described him as the last of the great two-fisted, two-handed piano players. And of course, we all know, or at least we've found out over the years, that he was much influenced by many of his predecessors, the great predecessors on the piano, Earl Father Hines, Fats Waller, and the like, and that he really had great appreciation and affection for those players. He understood ragtime better than most people really knew. They thought that he sometimes used ragtime as a kind of comic relief. But Jaki understood what made that music work. He was very knowledgeable about Scott Joplin and all of the great turn-of-the-century ragtime pianists. And so when he played the entire keyboard. I mean, he played everything and every style that he felt like playing at any one point. And so this little tune that I wrote was actually originally conceived as a piece for Thelonious Monk, and it's been reworked in this particular version of it. The original title was Monk Struts. If you've been to concerts or seen Monk in nightclubs, you know he often got up and danced while other people were playing. So I thought Monk Strut was a good title for the tune that has now transformed into what I'm calling Jaki Stomps. And Jaki, of course, and the Apollo Stompers became legendary, were legendary here in Rochester and in Boston and in New York City. So I thought calling this Jaki Stomps was quite appropriate. Many touches still of Thelonious Monk, as you'll hear, particularly things like Skippy and Baya and Monk tunes. But this is a reworking of this original composition, and we call it Jaki Stomps.
Carl Atkins. Jed Levy. Yeah, I'll announce it. I promised Carl I would announce the soloists. Now, can I remember them all? I think on Aluminum Baby we heard again from Brian Friedland and Talia Rubenstein, I believe. If you can remember that bar. Of course, Jed played on the blues, as did Ben Mizrock. And Rowan. And on the last piece, we heard from Joey Dice and Rowan, and I think that was it. Is that anyone else I'm remembering or forgetting? Okay, so I think we're ready for our final piece. Thank you again for coming out. Thank you, Jaki Byard, for all this great music. I also want to join. Yeah, Jason. I don't know if it says it in his bio, but Jason studied with Jaki, has a long connection with him, so I thought it would be only appropriate to have him join us. So this is, in the book, you know, we have his original parts. This is called the Apollo theme. And I actually didn't know at first. We played it in the first concert, and the program just said Apollo theme. And someone said to me, that's a song. And I actually didn't know this history, but the Apollo Theater has a theme, and it is this song. I may be wrong, but I think you're wonderful. And he would play this, again, Jed played in his big band. He tells me they played it like at the end of every set. It's kind of a short piece. But Jason's going to play a little solo. Maybe you can explain that. But after Jason's solo, you'll hear this, the theme song.
All right. Thank you, Ken. Also, good to be in the I'm going to say it for me, the house that Jaki built. For me. But I teach here because he taught here. It's the only reason. And when I was a student at Manhattan School of Music, Jaki Byard was teaching there. And he was the kind of teacher who, in the 90s, he smoked, but he also, much like we're doing upstairs for all the piano students, he would Lysol the keys after every nasty piano player came in. He was about a kind of cleanliness. Except one day, he brought a can of Raid and sprayed Raid on the keys instead of Lysol. Permutations of life. But I'm gonna play a piece. I'm gonna play a piece that Jaki called a lot of things, but he also called it the tribute to the Ticklers. And Jaki was about a kind of piano history and a kind of using the instrument as a portal. I didn't quite understand that when I was 18, but now at my age, now 48, I think I figured out part of it. There's something about how he uses the instrument to tell not only his story, but the story of the people, the ancestral ones and the future ones. And he's always giving generously to the future stories, much like these students here. And I as a student, he gave voraciously to us to cherish his seeds. So I'm gonna play his piece. This is, and it'll go into another piece of his called Out Front. And then we'll segue into the thing. Thanks, Ken.
Jason Moran. Jason Moran. NEC Jazz Orchestra. Thank you all.